Good day, listeners. Welcome to another insightful and interesting episode of our program, Principles for Effective Change Leadership, on Amaged Radio Communications. I remain your host, Titilola Ogushona. Today, we'll be having the concluding episode of the theme which we commenced last week on culture. Last week, we had the privilege of hosting our guest speaker, Mr. Adiola Gbadebo, who shared valuable insights of the role of leadership in shaping the culture of an organization. He shared that the role of a leader is to lead, live, model, monitor, assess, and review the change. These were very powerful thoughts. That were my take home on the episode last week. Thank you, Mr. Gbadebo, for joining us again today for the concluding episode.
Good evening. It's nice to be here once again. Thank you.
Okay, that is the thank you from our guest speaker who is here again to honor us. Okay, we rounded up our discussion last week on the possible challenges of change implementation. We'll be delving further into culture. Culture is very dynamic and interesting. Honestly, I must say. We could have 5 firms in the same industry with still very different cultural practices. Now, I will explain what I'm saying. Sometimes it's the same industry. There are 5 to 10 firms, and you realize that their cultural practices might not be similar at all. Yeah, we could have a culture practice in firm A, for instance, which I would say is what we term the clan culture, where there'll be so much emphasis on collaborations, on team building, and the structural, composition will be horizontal. Okay, and on this kind of culture, you could see that the primary focus is usually on mentorship and teamwork. And you could also have another firm having what we call the advocacy culture, which focuses on risk-taking and innovation. In this kind of culture, it allows idea sharing, risk-taking, and realize that is a lot of adaptability, and there's so much focus on innovation. Okay, and that becomes the competitive edge for the firm. In firm C, you could have another cultural practice, which I would call the market structure, where there'll be so much focus on financial success and how each employee, not just teamwork, how do you contribute to the bottom line. In this kind of cultural practice, you realize that the primary focus there will be more of competition and growth. So it's going to be, very competitive environment. And again, you could have another firm, like I said, which emphasis or which kind of cultural practice you actually be what we call the hierarchy structure. And it's so much of hierarchy, it's so much on chain of command, so much of a structural way of doing all of those things. Now, with this background, looking at all of this, you can have various firms in the same industry, okay, similar goods, or even giving similar services, and still having different cultural practices. So it brings me to my first question, Mr. Gbadebo. So how do we, enhance these cultural practices, whatever cultural practice you want to adopt, be it that of collaboration, be it that of what I call the advocacy culture? How do you enhance these cultural practices if they are working well for you, in terms of what strategies, what tools, and what tactics can you actually deploy to improve organizational culture? Since we know that culture is dynamic, like you said, it's not static.
All right. Thank you, Madam Moderator. In my line of work, I've often been asked by company executives, and they ask me, there's a question they ask most times. What they say is, what is the one thing I can do to improve my organization's culture? How can I improve on it? How can I strengthen it? Most times they think it's one thing. The truth is that there is not simply one thing that will improve how your employees feel about what they do and who they do it for and how they do it. Now, let's go back to the definition of culture. We define culture. Another definition of culture is that is the collective hearts and minds of an organization. So as such, there are many things that affect employees' attitudes about their work and the company they work for. So when we conduct assessments, we often find out many mechanisms, processes, activities connected to the employee's experience at work, and that those things play a part in how they feel and how they respond, and how the ambience and the culture forms in that organization. So what I've done is that I've brought about 10, things that I think that can aid. It's not an exhaustive list anyway, but there are things that you can never exhaust it. And because we live in a fast-paced world, maybe in the next 5 years, we may even have 100. It is 10 now, and so I listed them out, and I think that and I've tried to also put them in a chronological order, of things. So the first is that you need to create and communicate meaningful values.
Okay.
It is that you see, the leader must create and communicate meaningful values. And this is, values are a guide for everyone in the organization. It shows how to act and interact with each other, with customers and the community. So most times we recommend to our clients to have no more than, to have, specific number of values, so that the values are easy for employees to remember and understand what is important to the company. I don't really get what I'm trying to say. So,
yes, I wanted to ask, is that maximum you would recommend in terms of the values?
I think that per time, maybe there shouldn't be more than 5.
Okay.
Let them understand the 5 very well. Okay. And then, because organizational culture is a growing thing, it's not something you stop. You keep molding the culture. You can begin to increase the number bit by bit. But you don't want to crowd them, so that the values are easy for the employees to remember. Understand? So leaders must communicate not only the values, but also the expected behaviors associated with each value. So there's a value that we're communicating that this is, but we're also saying this is the behavior that that we expect, that is associated with this value. So because what this does is that it helps employees understand what is expected, how they are expected to respond. Do you understand? So, and this reduces uncertainty. It ensures everyone is aligned on how things should be done at the company. Because these things are written down. They are not, and they are written down and they're always communicated. It is not something that is not, something that someone can just bring out, haphazardly. It is something that is really structured, and because it is communicated systematically, every time such a thing occurs, the response is the same, is standard. Do you understand? So what that also helps is that it helps to modify, behavior. It gives a standard response to a different set of things, so that I, as a leader, do not respond based on my feelings at that time, or my state of mind at that time. So this is very, very important. Now, so and I like to use the banking, system as a standard, that the minimum that any organizational system should not go beneath. So if I walk into a bank today and I have, some deposits in that bank, and I present my check to the teller, and my signature is not irregular, everything is fine with what I'm presenting, irrespective of how the teller feels. Maybe she's unhappy, she may not be feeling too well, she may have had a fight with her spouse that morning, she may, so there are a lot of things that may have happened at that time. There's a standard response. She cannot say, look, please go and sit down first.
I'm not in the mood.
I'm not, just hold on for me first. Let me rest a bit. And my head is full now. It's not expected. So also, when you walk into an organization and the front desk person has just been scolded by a manager or by a leader, or by the head of customer service, an admin, and she's not feeling well at that time, or she's angry, and a customer walks in. The next thing is that she has to switch into the standard response. You get what I'm trying to say?
Yes, I do.
That front officer must switch to their standard response. Smile on your, the face looks up, expectant, a smile on your face, and you are greeting, good afternoon. You just switch to your most pleasant self, because it's not about you, it's about the organization. So those behaviors have been written down and expectations are well communicated. That helps. So that's the first one. That's the first one. Now, number 2, you need to conduct what we call proper selection. Selection. I keep going back to recruitment process, selection process, talent management. All those things are very, very important, because if you know what you are looking for and you deliberate about it, then it will help you to select the best responses. Now, most times, managers are in a rush to fill a position, and they neglect to ask the right questions to ensure sometimes, a position that is really important becomes vacant unexpectedly. Someone gets a better offer and is leaving, and the organization, it says, I need to give them a 1 month notice. And the new organization says, you don't have 1 month. Then it says, then it means I'm going to forfeit my salary. They say, okay, so how much is that? So we'll start paying you that salary before you come in. What we are paying you. The guy leaves. He leaves at a short notice, maybe 1 week. Within that time, so managers can be in a hurry to quickly fill that position. But in trying to do that, they may have neglected, some important steps that they're supposed to take. They are asking the right questions to ensure they have the right fit. So managers often use experience as a key factor when selecting employees. But if you want the right person, someone who will work well with others and be successful. Now, so the person must fit with the company's values and organizational culture. It has to fit. So you're looking at this person, he has the right qualifications, he has the right number of years experience. He's worked in an organization that's, maybe you can say, it's the company environment looks like all that. But the question is, does his point of view and value system agree, align with your own organization's own?
True, very key.
You remember, and I used to tell people that I would rather employ a committed, non-qualified personnel than employ a qualified, non-committed personnel.
So commitment is.
So if this person is not that qualified, but has good attitude and is committed, that gives him an open mind, is ready. What you have is a fertile ground for learning to thrive. This person would learn first, he would grow, he's ready to accept, he's willing. But you have one person who is really, really qualified and lacks commitment because of that, the absence of those right values, the right behaviors and all that. You brought in someone who is really arrogant, and who is unwilling to bend because he or she feels, that they know all, they know a lot of things. All of us are telling me, I have a PhD, but what do you mean? And they focus on their qualifications rather than
competence, rather than behavioral.
Exactly, rather than behavioral competencies. And I tell people that say behavioral competencies is far more important than technical competencies. Because technical competencies you can teach, is easily acquired. Behavioral competencies require a high degree of discipline for someone who has been hot-tempered, ill-tempered, all mild, to become someone who now is mild-tempered, who can handle things without, there's a lot of work you will need to do on that person. So selection process is very, very important. You must have what you understand, what we mean by what are the things are you looking for? What is important to this organization? Yes, qualification, fantastic. But beyond qualification, what are the other things that are really, really important? That will help you in selecting that person. Now, the third thing is, he said you need to improve orientation and onboarding. Now you've selected someone. You are bringing this person. You need to, the process of orientation and onboarding that person. There's a bank, there used to be a bank. There's a bank that I used to know. I don't know, maybe they still do that. But once they employ you, 6 months, you are not touching anything. You're not even attending the customers. 6 months, you're in their training school, where they're giving you all the orientation. They're giving you everything. They tell you, this is the reason why, we insist on these things. This is the reason. This is the result we want to get by insisting on this. So 6 months, I see, 6 months you're in training, and you're having your salaries paid and all that, and they tell you this is the reason why we insist people must dress in a certain way. We want you to look like someone that our customer can hand over their monies to, will not run away. You don't want it to look hungry. And they also know that within the part of 6 months, now you may have been the person, the applicant or the new employee may have gone through a lot, of deprivation, because maybe this is 6 years after graduation. They're trying to, struggle and all that, may begin to look somehow, but they want to now use the 6 months to groom you into the picture.
If you are a cultural misfit for them, you can even discover within the 6 months training program.
They will make you fit. So, and that's where they send some people away.
True.
They also send some people away and say, look, we've tried, we don't think you can, there's some attitudes we cannot cope with and all that. So within the 6 months, there's proper grooming, proper onboarding. They tell you, these are the things we believe in. And this is the reason why we believe in this.
These
are the things we want to achieve. This is the process we want to do. This is who we are. And this is why we do our things this way. When you are not doing it,
Mr. Gbadebo, you've mentioned two very powerful points. Conduct proper selection and also improve your orientation and onboarding program. Now, there's something we say at Amogate, that you cannot solve a problem created at recruitment with training and development. So no matter if the person is a wrong fit for the organization, no matter the training, development programs that you deploy, it still will not make the person fit. So these 2 points that you have mentioned is very critical for any leader to run with. Thank you so much. Please go ahead.
Now, so it says see, about 30% of new employees quit within the first 90 days of the job. About 30% of new employees quit within the first 90 days on the job. New hires must receive an effective, and engaging orientation. They must, as well as a well thought out onboarding process. The onboarding is not about helping that person settle down in the organization. That's not onboarding. So sometimes, I when I joined that organization and they resumed, all they did was so the MD said, all right, so he says, help Mr. Madibo so let's onboard him properly and all that. And handed me over to that person, and the person says, all right, this is your office, we're setting up your systems now, internet, so creating your passwords and all that, we're logging you in and all that, we're giving you this access. To them, that was onboarding. That's not onboarding.
Okay.
That's not onboarding. Onboarding goes beyond that. And immediately that first day, when I resumed, I began to represent the organization. The question is, what did I know about that organization? How much did I know? The following day, I was out defending a proposal on behalf of the organization. Of course, it was a mess. I got back and the MD was mad and he was saying this. And then I said, but I didn't know, I didn't have this information. I didn't have this information. And I didn't have this information. If you had, and I said, and you insisted. And I reminded him that, look, I told you, can I have a week to prepare for this so that I can do my final? You said, we don't have more than a day. That's what you told me. Now you are saying it's a mess. So you know what you said? He said, are you saying you deliberately moved it up so you could prove the point that you were not ready? At that point, I had to keep quiet, or else I would have lost the job. And I apologized, But the truth was that, was I ready? Did I have the tools to really defend my position? I don't know. So, so that onboarding process is very, very right now. The fourth thing is to enable and empower employees. Okay. Leaders must give employees the right information, the right tools, the right amount of support, and the control and power for them to make decisions.
Okay.
Empower them.
So not micromanaging.
Don't micromanage them. Let them make their, sometimes management or leaders in an organization, they already made a decision. But in order for it not to look like the employees are not carried along, so they bring it. And as we begin to give the big thing, if you are done it this way, and he says, but sir, don't you think that? And the guy says, another person brings another thing and says, what if this one is... So eventually, all the employees get it. All they say is, perfect. Yes, very good, sir. It's nice. Oh, perfect. So when next you call them for anything, it's fantastic, sir. So, yes. You guys should talk, because say something now. We say, no, they know what you are doing. They already know that you didn't name their input. You're just pretending. So you don't want them. So you send someone, a leader, you say, you should do this, go and negotiate and all that. And the person comes back, and all you do is you just blast the person, you blame the person, and all that. So at the end, the person knew that you shouldn't have taken that decision and that you didn't support his decision. The person now have regrets. He regrets ever taking that decision. So what it does is that internally, it has a resolve. And the resolve is, I'll never take a decision on behalf of this company anymore.
So are you advocating for creating a feel-safe environment for all employees?
Exactly. Let employees groom those employees. Groom them very well. Let them take those decisions when they come back, sit them down. Yeah, yes, thank you very much for what you have done. This decision you took. I knew you took it in the best interest of this organization and to the best of your knowledge. So since that decision you have taken, we're going to support that decision. We're going to help you, but we may need to modify a few things, around it. But kudos to you. Thank you very much. And the person goes. And then you call him another time, and you are changing bit by bit. Eventually, you've helped to turn it back to where you would have wanted it to be, And this person also still thinks that this is a decision. So when next you do it, but you have also groomed him in the process of now taking better decisions. So now that helps this person. That's the empowerment comes in. This person is now empowered. He's been improved upon. He's now become an improved version, of his former self. So those are part of the things that we need to do. So I didn't get that.
Just mention that's growth process for the employee.
That's a growth process for the employee. And you know what? He's happy. There's no one that is praised for doing a human's job that is not happy. What it does is that he's going to be more committed. It's going to give him more time for that job. It's going to ensure that, I always ask a question. So maybe I'll ask you that question.
Okay.
This is what was subject when you were in secondary school.
Oh, accounting.
Did you have a best teacher in secondary school?
I love my accounting teacher. Nothing.
So, did you ever fail that accounting?
No. I went ahead to study economics in the university, my first degree.
Now, so the best teacher was
true.
That account best subject.
True.
You liked the teacher. You loved this. You know that subject. And I'll tell you why you never failed that subject was because you never wanted to disappoint that accounting teacher. He would be disappointed if you failed. Because you don't want to disappoint that person, you kept on. If there was any other thing you could do to score more in the country, you would do it. You were ready.
No,
you love that person.
I was. I remember I was
that. It's the same thing.
With self-exercising.
See, let me tell you, it's been the same.
True.
Everywhere I've asked, the best subject was always taught by their best teachers. And no one ever failed such subjects. So this leader, if he's loved, and he takes you through a process, and you feel comfortable in his presence. Each time the guy gives you an assignment or gives you a task, you want to put in your best, you want to do very well, because you don't want him to be disappointed. And of course, every time he comes, he says, well done. Thank you very much for what you have done. I'm really proud of you.
That's true.
Then next time, you want to do better.
So there's a direct relationship between your love for your leader. Let's put it in the right perspective. For your leader and productivity level. So if I can trust my leader, if I feel valued by my leader, definitely my level of productivity would be high. And vice versa. If I feel not appreciated, that would lead to demotivation,
discouraged,
and also reduce my level of productivity. Powerful.
You would even be jittery. You'll be jittery in attending to those tasks. And because you are jittery, you would make mistakes.
True.
And of course, he already knew you were going to make mistakes. So he's waiting. And you take the mistakes to him and says, I knew it. If we didn't give you this task now, you say we are sentimental, we're not objective. We are showing favoritism. The simple thing that we are giving to you, you cannot do. I don't understand. And you graduated from one university. So when you say such things to employ, nobody likes such things. The next thing is they are looking for every opportunity that can go. But you see, you don't want to leave. They want to hear you and hear you and hear you. And when you say, all right, so you guys, it's like you should just continue forever. Why? They're enjoying it. Nobody enjoys to be pulled down.
Okay.
That's it. So
the fifth point.
The fifth one now. And you keep it's a major issue. The statistic says only 34% of employees engaged are engaged in their work. Leaders can engage employees by ensuring employees know how they make a difference for the company, as this helps them feel connected to the company's mission. I don't know if you get that.
I do. I do.
Person, you're talking to the person and saying, I need you to understand that what you're doing for this company is really appreciated. These are the things you've done, and this has really helped us to go from here to here. Now we need to move from where we are now to this level. You are showing them, graphs, and you are giving them statistics and showing them, and you are telling them this and this, and they see it, and they're happy that yes, this is their contribution. What they are contributing is actually moving the company forward, is aligning with the mission and the vision of that organization. I'm happy that I'm helping this organization to achieve that it will no longer be their company, but it's now
an employee
our company.
Engagement
That's where they begin to feel.
It's a big deal. It's huge work for the organization.
It is. So the 6th point is this: you need to coach employees. You need to give coaching. Coaching is, about informal feedback. It's different from the appraisal. Appraisal is a formal feedback. Or the coaching process is an informal feedback, because the employee is not on his toes when you are coaching. He's relaxed, and you can, tell a lot more things, and they can assimilate far more, imbibe more, skills, and learn more from you during the coaching session rather than an appraisal session. Now, the 7th is that you need to communicate effectively with employees. I know I've talked about communication before. The first one is communicating the values of the organization.
Okay.
Now, this is general, communication. Now, the problem is not the quantity of communication, but rather the quality of communication being transmitted. It is the quality of the communication being transmitted. And in communication, we need to be effective to cultural, differences. So your body language matters. The language that you are using matters. You need to be sensitive to the different segments that are available, gender, background, religious backgrounds, because there are some things not while communicating. So some forms of communication may now become inappropriate, So when it is inappropriate, the people who are affected may become offended. So because they are now offended, they're not going to do what you're asking them to do, because they're offended, and their difference to that instruction is their own form of protest to them. So we need effective communication with employees. Number 8 is that, we need to recognize employees how they want to be recognized.
Recognition.
You need to give recognition to people. See, recognition is one of the best ways to make your employees feel appreciated. It reinforces positive habits, and helps you to retain your best talents. It drives engagement. See, when you need to let them know that what they do makes a difference. See, when employees who often do not feel appreciated, do not feel as though they get enough praise. Employees vary in how they learn and process information. Okay, they are visual learners, they are auditory learners, they are kinesthetic learners. They also differ in terms of their temperament. The way a melancholy processes and information is different from the way let me go to the other extreme now. The sanguine processes the information. The melancholy is highly introverted. The sanguine is highly. There is a choleric there. There is, the phlegmatic now. So you tell when you tell a man that what you are saying does not make sense. That's not what the person hears. What the person hears is that you're foolish. That's the way the choleric interprets it. Now, but if you tell the sanguine, so let me now go to the extreme. Now, you tell the sanguine person a natural sanguine, you tell him you are a fool, the guy just laughs and say, and it's one of those things. Can you see the difference? The person you said, what the person did or what they said does not make sense, actually feels you just called him a fool. Now, the other person you are actually calling a fool accepts it. He laughs over it. He's not offended. He's not offended, because they're different personalities. And these personality traits are natural. They will modify, but they will actually not change. So, and you see, in a team, you create a team, you have a team, you probably have at least 3 of those temperaments there, or the 4 will be present. Now, as a leader, you need to understand how to recognize, how to praise, the person, and how to praise that person. Now, if you don't praise a melancholy, you may not get the best out of that melancholy. If you overpraise a sanguine, he's not going to improve on his work. So you get that. So that's it. So we need
a particular kind of employee would actually appreciate as recognition. Exactly.
So you need to understand how to recognize them, what they will appreciate as the form of recognition.
In fact, some people like to hear that recognition. Someone to see it, someone to experience it.
Exactly.
So from what you have said, we have to be very creative and innovative around it.
Some other people, all you need to do is put it in a short note, slip it into their hands, or just stick it around their table. They see it alone and it brightens up their day. They don't want the publicity. They want to get those things, quietly, just maybe private, because they're private people. They build a wall around themselves. They don't want people to encroach into their privacy. So when you begin to announce their praise and you're calling them for an award on the stage and all that, you're actually disturbing that person, because the private person.
Yeah,
so, but when you call the person into your office and you're talking to the person and you're saying, you're doing very well, I just wanted to know that I appreciate you. I know you may not really understand, but I just want to give you this book as an appreciation. It's talking about appreciation. The person sees and says, oh, thank you. I'm so happy. And you've done the best for that person.
Exactly.
Honestly, so we need to understand.
So you need to customize recognition.
Exactly, customize it. Yes. That's the word. That's just the word. You need to customize recognition. Exactly. It is custom built. Custom built recognition. Now, so the ninth one, number 9, is that you need to have tough conversations and make tough decisions.
Okay.
Yes. So leaders who do not hold their employees accountable create a negative environment where high-performing employees become frustrated. Yes, they become frustrated.
True.
Then they begin to reduce their efforts and eventually leave. Let me tell you something. So I consulted for an organization, and there were people, and there were about 4 people who constantly came early to work. They were never late. I will check their time book, which is actually biometrics. They were constantly, in fact, there was one of them who would come in. I don't know, maybe the person comes in early, just waits for that time, comes in and clocks in at that time. He was clocking in exactly, at 7:45 every day consistently for a whole month. They resume 8 o'clock. He would be there 7:45, clocking in. And there were some people who were perpetual latecomers. So the people who were coming late were not reprimanded. Those who were coming early were not rewarded. No, so the organization left it open. So I discussed with the CEO, and I said, you need to reward people who come early.
Exactly.
You need to let them know that you don't need to give them anything. Just recognize, tell them that you want to say thank you to them. It's not because they live near the office. It's because they're committed to this organization. I said you need to reprimand. You need to reprimand those who have become perpetual latecomers. People were clocking in 9 o'clock, 9:10. There was a lady who always clocked in between 9 o'clock and 9:15. Always an hour or an hour, 15 minutes late, consistently, and nothing was done. Now, a year after I went to that organization, after we concluded our project the other time, and then I went back, guess what? Nobody came before 8:15. Everybody comes late.
Yes,
and I
because people are
showed that
watching. I want
record.
to say, people are watching.
Exactly. So I showed the record to the CEO. I said, you don't know. But now nobody comes late. Nobody comes early to the organization. So the people who were coming in 7:45, between 7:45 and 8 o'clock, now coming between 8 o'clock and 8:15. Those who were coming late at 9 and all that, they still retained their position. But then because they retained their position as their top latecomers, but these people who were coming early thought about it that because you didn't know the effort they were putting into coming early. So they just told themselves that since there's nothing, why am I stressing myself? I beg, make me say relax. Let me just sleep for another 30 minutes. So because you didn't know the effort they were putting in. And those efforts were not being appreciated, were not rewarded because the leader was not ready to take tough decisions, to punish. So you must be ready, So those who have been high performers, they will become frustrated. They're going to reduce their efforts and eventually they may leave. So leaders must get comfortable with having tough conversations with those who are not displaying the expected behaviors. That's it. Okay. That's it. Now, so the 10th on my list is, I said, show employee that you care about them and the organizational culture. 2 things now. I want you to know that I care about you. We care about your welfare and all that, but we also are particular about our organizational culture. So we want both of them to align so that we can both be happy. So you must show employees that you care.
You care about them.
Show employees that you care about them as an individual, and that you are dedicated to improving your company's organizational culture. So he says, do so by being available to support them and listen to their needs. When listening to them, ensure you give them full attention. Full attention.
Okay.
Not you're opening the drawer, you're looking for the file. Go on, I'm with you. You're not with him. You're not with him. It's going to be discouraged. So you have to listen emphatically to understand where the employee is coming from. Sometimes you need to repeat what that person says. If I understand what you're saying, what you're actually saying is that so and so and so and so, and the person confirms and says yes. That confirmation that you were listening, and all that. The truth is, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
I'll even add how much you sincerely care about them.
Yeah. And they know if you sincerely care about them. They know. They know. So if they don't like you, you can coach them. If they don't like you, you can improve them. It's as simple as that. There's no need for me to ask what your worst subject was, and I could say that you didn't like that teacher. It was because you actually didn't like the teacher that you wouldn't do the subject. So when you had the choice not to do the subject while you were selecting your wife subjects, what a relief. It's such a pleasure for me not to do this. Hallelujah. Hooray. Yes.
Very true. That's very big.
Because you didn't like that person. People cannot learn from people they don't like.
Exactly. No matter the teaching methodology you deploy.
No matter the teaching methodology that you're going to deploy, no matter how. See, come give everybody free lunch. If there's someone that doesn't like you, he will probably, some of them may not even eat your food as you're giving them free. Others may eat it. Others will eat it and say, it doesn't matter. I still don't like you.
I don't like you. I can't trust you.
I can't trust you.
If I don't like you, I can't trust you.
That person doesn't like you. So the question now is, are we saying that leaders should be Mr. Nice Guy? That's not what we're saying. We're saying that a leader should be able to, you're a mix of a lot of things. You are at different points in time, you are wearing different hats.
Exactly.
You have different hats that you are putting on. You are wearing the hat of an architect. You're wearing the hat of a project manager. You're wearing the hat of a coach. When you are supposed to be a coach, you coach. When you're supposed to be an appraiser, you appraise. When you're supposed to groom people, you groom. When you're supposed to show them how to do it, you show them. Do it. Because sometimes you think, even when I cannot do it, you're just asking, forcing us to go and do it. When you do it and you show them how to do it, the respect they have for you will grow. If people respect you, they don't want to disappoint you.
Exactly.
They don't want to be on the other side. And they know that you're one person who can take tough decisions. One day you are laying off people who are become, a clog in the wheel of your progress. And another day, you are giving an employee support, financial support. Maybe the employee needs to do a master's, and we say, all right, you see, we know, and you see the person is chosen a master's in an area that, the skills that he's going to get will help to improve the organization. You're saying, look, we're paying half of that, half of your tuition to support you, for you to be able to do this. And anytime, you need maybe some casual leaves for you to, study for exams or go and write your exams, we let you know that we want to let you know that we're there. We will support you all the way. So those are two different things happening on the same day by the same leader. So you need a leader who will be able to do that.
But also
exactly. Emphatic, empathetic, firm, approachable, respected. People, it's not because it's not that they fear you, but they respect you. Because you're approachable, they can come to you. But when they come to you, and they come to you because they respect you, when they need to present something to you, they're going to present. They want to work and ensure that it's the best they're presenting, because they don't want you to be disappointed, and because they know you hold them in high esteem. So, like we say in local parlance, make a no go fall in hand. So you don't now begin to operate beyond that person's expectation of you. But you see, the leader must also communicate his expectation every time. I understand that, you're an intelligent person. I know. So I'm thinking that the level of work that you are providing, you are giving, you can actually do much more than that. I think if you invest more of, some of the, some of your competencies and some of your skills and, your intelligence in it, maybe you just need to pay more attention to a few more details and all that. I think you can do better than this. I know you can do that, so, and let me know if there's anything we can do for you to help you in that area. Everybody needs a leader like that. But that same leader can come and say, excuse me, I'm not going to tolerate this from you anymore. The next time you do this I'm going to do. Everybody needs a leader like that also. So it's that balance, that will help you, to groom, to be able to, improve on the organizational culture. Like I said, it's not exhaustive. It's not an exhaustive list, but I just picked a few that I think can really help leaders, and leaders can. They are the low-hanging fruits that you can quickly pick on and all that, and you'll see the effect, almost immediately. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gbadebo. Those were very powerful points, which had actually looked into the tactics, the tools, the strategy, 3-in-1, of what we're talking about, of improving organizational culture. If you have any questions, any comments, any feedback for us on culture, kindly send your mail to contact@thearmorgate.org. I'll take it again. For any feedback, comments, questions, kindly send a mail to contact@thearmorgate.org. Or you can send a message to this WhatsApp line, +234 80 7957 4151. +234 80 7957 4151. I wish we could go on and on. It has been a very expository session with Mr. Gbadebo as usual. Okay, but we need to wrap up, at this point, draw the curtain at this point. Mr. Gbadebo, do you have any closing thoughts for our listeners?
Well, I've said it, I think I said it in the 10th point. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you really care. If they don't like you, they can't learn from you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gbadebo. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care about them. And I added one other word to it, how much you sincerely care about them, because they know whether you're sincere or not. And one thing I'm going to leave us with is that once you care about them, you cannot overemphasize the importance of communication. From the first point that Mr. Gbadebo noted, he said you need to create and communicate meaningful values. Okay, so communication is very key. And he also said you need to communicate again at the 7th point. And he said you need to communicate again that you care about them. So communication is very key. Communicating the expected values, communicating progress reports, communicating what you expect from them, communicating when they are getting it right, also communicating in form of making tough decisions and tough conversations when necessary, and most importantly, communicating that you care about them and actually bringing it on board how your employees can also grow in the organization. I'll leave us with the words of Andrew Mason. He said, for a culture to thrive, hire great people and give them freedom to be awesome. So leaders, change leaders, CEOs, you need to create an environment that your people will have the freedom to be at their best. Thank you for joining us today, for staying tuned to the end of this program. Meet you same time, same station next week. I remain your host, Titilola Ogunshono. It's bye from here.